Okay guys, in this video we're going to be talking all about Cardano's ADA, and we're not actually going to do too much technical analysis. We've actually got some pretty big news that we want to cover, lots going on in the space all around Cardano. So we'll probably briefly touch on price towards the end of this video, but we're really going to talk about what is going on with Cardano, the bigger picture, the ecosystem and everything going on there. So guys, as we get into it, if you find it useful, make sure you hit the like button. I do appreciate that. If you're new, make sure you've subscribed. By subscribing, you'll be kept up to date with everything. Tap the bell, hit on all notifications, and you won't miss a single video. Right, let's get into what is going on with Cardano and why this is such massive news. Right, so the first thing we're going to do is just take a look at this one. This is kind of the main piece, guys. This is around the 5-year plan for Cardano, which has been unveiled. And they are talking about targeting banks and the Fortune 500 companies. And I'm going to go through this and we're going to talk about the importance of this and why this is a big deal. So when we get into it, let's scroll down. So the CEO of the Cardano Foundation, 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗔𝗡, says that onboarding mainstream financial institutions and large corporations is part of a 5-year growth strategy for the 5th largest blockchain project by market cap. So obviously they're talking about Cardano here, and ultimately targeting these financial institutions and large cap or corporations, right? So the Fortune 500 and banks. Now, the Swiss-based foundation, which is responsible for overseeing and supervising the growth of Cardano, is looking to partner with mainstream financial institutions to enable universal access to blockchain's native token, ADA. So ultimately, guys, I'll read the quotes in a moment, but what he's talking about here is about how if you are able to integrate Cardano with all of these mainstream banks, then basically you're going to be able to have this synergy between fiat and cryptocurrency, and specifically the ADA token or ADA coin, right? So we're basically saying that you'll be able to move from fiat into ADA and then from ADA into whatever native fiat that you have, right? So full interoperability between the legacy financial system, the fiat, and of course the cryptocurrencies. Now, obviously here he's talking heavily around ADA, and if you can obviously speculate to the cows come home as to what that might mean for the price of ADA, as in many people in the XRP community have done over XRP. Ultimately, we talk about XRP, how it's heavily integrated with many banks around the world, and that partnership and all those kind of things going on with XRP. We're basically saying that ADA is going to be trying to do the same thing. Cardano are trying to do what Ripple is doing to a degree. They're trying to integrate with the banks so that you can move from fiat to crypto and from crypto to fiat effortlessly. So let's get into the quotes. What is Frederick actually talking about? So when we look into 2022, it is not only important, it is vital for our ecosystem, which is built around the native currency of ADA as a utility token. And as I get into the next article, guys, it's important that we remember the word utility token. So this allows you to operate on our blockchain wherever you are, if you are building a business model or if you are capturing business value from optimizing business procedures, or if you are building a security token or an NFT, or you are a fisherman in West Africa and you are building an identity. Whatever happens, how you integrate with us always comes over to ADA. Okay, so basically he's saying, no, when you interact with the ecosystem, you are basically utilizing the cryptocurrency ADA. Okay, and that's important for all ADA holders and anyone who has invested in Cardano's ADA up to this point and beyond, of course. So this is huge news. If we start thinking about what he's actually said in that one paragraph, it's basically saying that no matter which way you touch the ecosystem, you're effectively touching ADA. Therefore, onboarding 50 banks becomes very important to us. It should be in a way that if you have a lot of ADA, you can always get into local fiat currency, and you can always get from a local fiat currency into ADA and over time into whatever other token you might be holding using the Cardano blockchain. So again, reiterating what I've just said there, ultimately he is talking about here is the ability to basically flip between fiat and ADA, and of course, over time, any other cryptocurrency on the Cardano ecosystem. So the Cardano Foundation CEO says onboarding banks will expose the legacy financial institutions to the benefits of blockchain technology, which is quite an obvious one, right? They're resisting it at the moment. You see this all the time. We obviously have had Barclays, NatWest, Santander, or pretty much most of the mainstream banks over in the UK basically prevent any retail investor from actually using crypto exchanges now. You cannot basically put money into these exchanges. You can only withdraw. So obviously this whole point of integrating blockchain technology with the legacy financial systems are absolutely crucial. Obviously, at the moment, they are rejecting it. They are trying to fight back and prevent people from actually utilizing cryptocurrency. That, of course, I believe will change in due course. Right now, they are just trying to control everything. I think in time, once they're actually embedded into the blockchain techs, I think ultimately that will become a thing of the past. And once they have control and they can see that actually they have a serious portion of cryptocurrency and they can basically move people on in and out of cryptocurrency without any problems, I think that's where ultimately everything starts to change and becomes more mainstream. And me and Chris talk about this all the time. We think this is like 2025. We start to see serious and mainstream adoption. And then by 2030, it's a seriously mature market. Okay, so for us, we're still early, although we're only a few years away from seeing this stuff kind of come to fruition. So as we continue through here, the other parts about focusing on banks will allow us to downstream, push one of the most regulated industries and also one of the industries that is most ripe for change, to basically get their eyes open to what they can do long-term using smart contracts and other features on the Cardano protocol. So he does go on to talk about the Fortune 500 companies as well. Onboarding Fortune 500 companies, holding ADA, using ADA, taking Cardano as a protocol, as an infrastructure into the engine room of these large multinational corporates will show them what it does mean for real transparency and real immutability of data and around data. And how to change the governance of these companies to optimize what the shareholders really want and not just the next earnings and not the next quarterly yields. Okay, so crucially important things when we talk about those two areas, right? We obviously have the the financial institutions, the banking sector, where ultimately they could utilize blockchain technology. And it's pretty much geared up for them, right? You have smart contracts. We obviously have cryptocurrencies that can perform stupid number of transactions per second, specifically when we talk about Cardano here and the Hydra solution in the future, where we talk about going up to potentially 1 million transactions or more per second. And obviously then you go on to the Fortune 500 companies, which obviously being able to govern those properly and having proper immutable data, that is huge and that is big business. So for me, I think this is a good strategy for those guys over at the Cardano Foundation. I think this is a good strategy for Cardano ecosystem as a whole. And I think this could be absolutely massive for, basically global adoption of Cardano. And ultimately for anyone who's invested nice and early in this project to be a hodler for the next several years could see you become multi-millionaires. I think this is a fantastic opportunity that's in front of us. So I really wanted to get this across, guys, because this is a fantastic piece of news and it absolutely is huge for the long-term future of Cardano. So the second thing that I want to talk about is this piece. This is actually some, I think Jeremy Hogan, he did a whole video around what is a security, what is not a security, and Cardano and Doge definitely not securities, but Polkadot and Uniswap in danger. I thought it was important because as we actually read through this article, it's actually mentioned here in that kind of paragraph that we went through at the beginning, talking about a utility token, and that's ultimately where kind of Cardano is placed. And obviously where you look at potentially some of these other cryptocurrencies where they're not necessarily like that. So pretty much I'll get into what's going on for Cardano. And the reason that Jeremy Hogan believes actually it's not really it's not really a problem for Cardano, and that's because I think it was 95% of Cardano's ICO is actually held in the Japanese market. So although Hogan, Cardano's move, according to Hogan, Cardano's move to primarily sell its ADA tokens in the Japanese market was a genius move. About 95% of the ICO was to Japanese nationals, the lawyer observed. So ADA would then make its way via exchanges to America. This puts Cardano out of the reach of the SEC. And again, Japanese market's actually pretty good. They're pretty open to most of these cryptocurrencies. So again, I feel that that was a pretty clever move. I really wanted to kind of cover that out just so that everyone's aware. Obviously, with everything going on with the SEC versus Ripple, XRP potentially being classed as a security, although that's, you know, a bit of nonsense in my mind, because the only place in the world with that view at the moment is America. The rest of the world, we call it an exchange token over here in the in the UK. So again, really important that obviously from a US point of view, it's good to understand that Cardano probably is nowhere near the radar of the SEC. So I really wanted to kind of cover that. Now, I'm not going to go through the next couple of pieces. I find these ones a bit of a joke myself, but the Twitter war. This is all about Charles Hoskinson's 1 year prediction on Cardano and all that kind of stuff. I think many people are probably aware of what's going on here, but basically Charles Hoskinson created a prediction, I guess, last July, where he was saying that this time next year, so July 2021, Cardano ecosystem will have hundreds of native assets and thousands of dApps, right? And he is pretty much on track for that. So interesting stuff going on. I'm not going to cover it. Obviously, I think most people are probably aware of this one by now. But the other thing I do want to kind of just briefly leave everyone with is obviously the price action of ADA and where things have been going today. Obviously, we've had a bit of a pullback, and this is courtesy of Bitcoin and pulling the rest of the market down with it. So what does this actually mean? Well, this means that couple of interesting things. So obviously, let's get into the hourly where we can talk about the most recent price action. We're actually resting down here on a bit of a support line at $1.35. So we have fallen just below our support of 140, found the 135 area here, really held up well, and we started to move up. Now, the other thing that's really important, guys, is we were oversold when we came down this low. So ultimately, there's only one place to move, and that was to the upside. But I am cautious that basically, even though we were moving the price to the upside, the volumes were decreasing. That shows us that the sentiment with this particular cryptocurrency at the moment, ADA, is still quite fearful. People are quite scared to potentially get into it too much too soon, though specifically not knowing what Bitcoin is going to do right now. So the sentiment is pretty much fear at this point. And you can see that within the technicals at this point here without even having to really check the fear and greed index. When you start to see the volume drop like this, but the price move up, you know there's more people selling than people buying, and that's generally because of the sentiment in the space. So with that being said, with a decreasing volume, I'm a little bit alarmed. We have still got some room to grow here on that relative strength index, but obviously we need to see that volume also grow with it in order to really push us above that $1.40 mark again. And with that being said, these are all short-term, observations, where actually what we're trying to do is think longer term. We're thinking about where Cardano is likely to go towards the end of the year, where Cardano is likely to be by 2025, and where Cardano is likely to be in 2030. Those are the real milestones. And if we take the emotions out of the market and we don't react to these kind of small time frame pullbacks, and we still have vision as to where things are going, and technically things are still moving towards that point of view from a bigger time point of view, or bigger timestamps such as the daily or the weekly, then absolutely these kind of small time frames is not to worry too much about, and ultimately to kind of manage your expectations and emotions accordingly, and try not to invest with emotions. Obviously have an exit plan well before you've even invested, so that you can stick to that plan throughout and you're not just kind of left selling low and buying high all the time. So obviously most common way that people get wrecked. So stay safe out there, guys. Really wanted to kind of just touch on the fact that we are oversold. We are likely to push back up a little bit, but until that sentiment changes, we'll probably be in this area here for a little while longer. And then of course we do have that possibility of dropping down towards that kind of $1.30 to $1.28 range if we ever needed to. But right now I think we're being oversold, and many of these cryptocurrencies we'll look for a bit of a green day to come. We'll push the price into kind of some of these other boundary areas here for now on the shorter time frames. So guys, hopefully you found this useful, informative. If you have, do go ahead and give me a like. I really appreciate that. If you're new, make sure you've subscribed, tap the bell, hit on all notifications, and you'll be kept up to date with all of the videos that we do here. It is free. You'll stay well informed, so why not? With that said, done and out the way, guys, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.